Welcome everybody to the bodega, where today I'm going to be making a Final Fantasy VII enemy that you probably never even heard of. 8 Eyes.
Huh?
Exactly. 8 Eyes is that goopy, gelatinous looking thing that you fight in the Temple of the Ancients. If you knew who that was, give yourself a round of applause. I'm going to be using this Sculpey clay, and I gotta say I really like Sculpey. I like the fact that you can bake it, it's durable, it's easy to paint on, it's easy to use. You don't really gotta be a classically trained sculptor specializing in neo-dada kineticism to use it. You wanna sculpt that cat? You sculpt that cat. One of the clays that I've used in the past is this Montmartre clay, and this here's a little different than the Sculpey. This is an air hardening clay, and as you can see I've used some recently and I've had good results with the projects that I've done. One trick that I like to do is I'll take it and I'll put it when I'm not using it in a Ziploc bag to keep it nice and soft, so that the next time I come and use it I don't have to worry about it being rock hard. I used it to make this bomb, which I'm going to be making one in a future video, so if you're interested in seeing that, stay tuned. For this build I'm going to bust out the heavy duty aluminum foil. I want my 8 Eyes to be a chunky boy. Shaping it into a blob, I continue to add foil to it, making sure to pinch the foil into folds. By pressing it with my thumbs, I can create lumps and deep recesses that'll stand out once the foil is covered in clay. This wire has been sitting in a drawer for years, and I'm finally going to use it today. It's flexible and I'll be able to shape an 8 Eyes in a dynamic pose. Is it oven safe? I have no idea, but we're going to find out together, and that'll be fun. For scale and sculpting the 8 Eyes, I've been using this Kingdom Hearts cloud while I wait for the Bring Arts Nomura cloud to ship from Japan. After watching a YouTuber named Plastic Life review it, I was kinda scared of what to expect.
Up. What in the bloody hell?
I really hope mine doesn't come like that. After you snip the wire, you're gonna keep shaping it until what you're left with is a form that receives heaps of praise from even the most pretentious art critic.
That I love!
I wrap the wire around Cloud's leg because I want to make it look like the 8 Eye is just wrapping around him. I cover the wire in aluminum foil just in case, so if it is toxic, I'm hoping this stuff will keep it from just burning up in the oven. I mean, doesn't North of the Border wrap his wire in aluminum? I think so. It'll be fine. I formed the aluminum to resemble a snake wrapping around Cloud's leg. My goal is to have the giant eye staring straight into his soul. Do I worry about a potential height difference between this Cloud and the one coming in the mail? They're both from Bring Arts. What's there to worry about? I made these two 8 Eyes in more of a dynamic pose. I try to add a bit of a curve to this one as if it's dodging some kind of attack. My plan for the base of this one is to have sort of a puddle of goop with eyes staring up. These are the more traditional 8 Eyes, although I've made one more battle damaged. The idea is to have it as if Cloud sliced right through its eye with his Buster Sword. I don't know what Sculpey used to make this wrapper, but I'm not drinking enough milk to be able to open this with my fingers. I gotta find something I can use. Man, where are those scissors? I don't know what this is for, but I like the texture. Got some beads. An unopened magnet. I don't know what this is doing here. Ah, scissors. Oh yeah.
Rookie.
That comment was uncalled for, Logan, but you did a good job. Now we're ready to sculpt. We just have to flatten the clay first. After flattening the clay, I begin to apply strips to my aluminum potato. The trick here is to apply a strip and then smooth. By the end of it, you'll be doing so much smoothing, you'll earn the title of You're going to want to keep smoothing until what you have resembles a yellow russet. If it looks like a Yukon Gold, know you've gone too far. For the feet of the 8 Eyes, I'm going to take little fingers of clay, that's a technical term, and attach them to the bottom of the 8 Eyes. If you're worried that you don't know how to make little fingers, you can just make a regular ball and squish it down with the 8 Eyes, and then just smooth it out and pinch it with your fingers until what you have resembles tentacles. Adding skinny spaghetti pieces of clay, I begin forming them into eyelids, smoothing them out with different tools in order to seem more professional. The process becomes a bit of a rinse and repeat where you're laying down strips of clay and then smoothing them out, laying them down to make veins and different eyelids, and then smoothing them down to blend them into the body of the 8 Eyes. I wouldn't say sculpting is one of my strong suits, but I have learned a lot of techniques from watching videos by different artists. One thing I will say I haven't learned is how to throw a piece of clay at a wireframe and completely cover it in one shot. I guess I'll keep doing it the old-fashioned way. Shazam! Almost had it. I'm feeling good about this one. Come on. Maybe I just gotta be gentle.
What have you done?
After getting them sculpted, it's time to see if I'm gonna get poisoned by putting them in the oven. Baking was a success, but now it's time to prep them before priming. I don't want primer or paint going into the eyes, so I'm gonna use a little trick that I learned that will create paint guards. This is silly putty, not to be confused with the silly putty, and this trick I learned from Bernardo Escoval over at the Sideshow collectible channel. I'll put the link in the description if you want to check it out. After making sure the putty filled the crevice of each of the eyes, these bad boys were ready to prime. This is a melted 8 eyes. This one is dodging attacks. I added bullet holes to my battle damaged 8 eyes so that it'll pair well with Barrett. And here's old Snakey. I used a primer from Rust-Oleum that fills in cracks and is sandable. And there they are. For a base coat, I want to give the 8 eyes a purple undertone, so I'll be using some of these paints. They're nothing special. I want to cover it entirely before I go over it in red with the airbrush. I mix the red and purple until I have a light grape wine looking color. The goal is to get full coverage with the purple paint. And there you go, that's what I'm looking for. Each one gets the purple treatment and I don't have to worry about the paint getting past the putty. These all look great. Next step is to bust out the airbrush station so I can get to spraying. I want to cover the sculpts in red without drowning out too much of the purple. For some reason in my head I'm picturing a liver or some kind of organ that, while red, has a purplish hue lying beneath. This eye is possibly my favorite of the sculpts. I like its simplicity. There's not too much to look at, and so what is focused on can be made to stand out even more. By highlighting the raised portions of the blob, like its veins, I'm hoping to give it a bit more pop. Now that they've been airbrushed, I'm going to spray them with this matte finish sealer before moving on to the washes. The washes will consist of this dark purple and light purple wash. I start by taking the dark wash and placing it in the spots where I'd like to see a nice shadow. Using a sponge, I wipe some of the wash away. Again, it's a matter of rinse and repeat. Apply the wash and then pat it down. As I apply the light purple, I switch to a paper towel to avoid cross-contamination of the washes. That eye is going to shine when I take the putty off. Now that all the recesses have been hit with the washes and those folds have nice shadows to them, it's time to add highlights to make the various eyelids and veins bulge out. To accomplish that, I'm going to whip out my trusty makeup palette. I bought this at Marshall's, and let me tell you, for a quick highlight hack, these things are the way to go. For this project, I'll be using the red and this purple right here. Those will be the two that I stick with, although I may use this black. Before I start highlighting, I'm going to seal the sculpts again. Applying the eyeshadow is easiest, I find, when using a Q-tip. It's just about going over all those raised areas to really make it shine. And there you have it. Gotta get in there and get all those veins. I add a little purple to make the undertones stand out more. Removing the silly putty with a metal instrument isn't always the best idea because you risk puncturing the clay beneath. Fearing this, I switched to a much safer tool, an exceedingly sharp silicone pick. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, you were witness to what he just did.
You don't need to have an eye like Columbo to see what I just did. I messed up big time, but that'll have to be patched up later. Here's a better look at how the washes and the highlights work to give dimension to the sculpt. I gave the eyes a coat of white paint off camera to make them stand out further. For the peepers, I'm mixing blue and white paint, a lightish blue for the iris that I most certainly won't regret later on and darken, blue for the pupil, and white highlights. I use the end of the brush as an applicator, but very soon I switch tools until I finally land on one that works best. With the irides done, I move on to dotting out the pupils. It's a slow and steady process. The highlights come next, and after a tightrope-esque steadiness, the eyes are all done. All that remains is a little gloss finish and applying UV resin to bring these eyes to life, and we're good to go. I want to give a huge shout out to Little V Mills for such a tremendous rendition of the Final Fantasy VII battle theme. If you want to hear more of his music, please don't hesitate, check out the link in the description below. I also want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and if you know anyone who's interested in crafting or just Final Fantasy VII in general, spread the word because that's going to help this channel grow. And let me know some of the enemies you'd like to see me try to make. I have some ideas coming down the pipeline, but I'd love to hear what you think. Always remember, any day is a good day for crafting. Until next time, my friends, God bless.